Hello guys. So earlier I told you I was going to share my creative process on how this image came about. So this picture actually I took it 3 years ago, and this wasn't how it really looked when we took the picture. The model's name is Tana Glam. She's a very renowned, she's a very great makeup artist in Abuja actually. And I'm saying a shout out to her. She actually nailed the shoot. She made it look seamless. But back to what I was saying, this um this image wasn't actually shot at with this whole look. So this is how the image actually looks like before the whole. This is the original image. This is how it was shot from my camera. So I was going through my hard drive a few days ago, and I came across some beautiful images I have taken over the years. And I said, with the knowledge I have gotten in this short period of time as a photographer, how can I depict growth with my editing over the years? So I came up with the idea of retouching jobs that I had already done in the past, and so this was built. This was the outcome. So let me take you through the step-by-step process of what I did and at what stage. So the first thing I did separate was to separate the subject from the background. Sorry, let me switch off every other layer till we get to. Okay, let me leave this and switch every other thing off. Go off, go off, go off. So you can see how I built everything from the scratch. So this was the original image. Then from this, I decided to separate my subject from the background. So this is the background, and this is my subject layer. This is my subject layer. So after separating my subject from the background, the next thing I did was to import the layer. So without my subject it was to import the background, the new background, that is the forest background. So without my subject in the background, this is what it looks like. So this was the forest I decided to work with for the shoot. So after importing this forest, to make it look more realistic, because okay, no, let me just show how it looks with my subject appearing in front of the forest at first. Okay, so this is what it looks like directly with my subject just appearing on with me placing my subject on the background. So it has, because of the lighting I used while shooting that particular image, the backline, you can see it at the top of her hair here. You can see it at the top of her hair. The backlighting, it also blends with the lighting of the forest, because you can see the sun rays piercing through these leaves over here, and it fell off through this angle. So you have to actually understand lighting for you to be able to manipulate images. So the next thing I did to blow out the sorry. So the next thing I did was to blow out the background so that the subject will pop a little from the background. So if you can look at this image now, you will see that it seems like the subject is not properly standing in the bush. And if you look at the clothes, it's actually floating on the grass. It's not well matched. So the next thing I did was to add, since there were palm trees around, far behind, so I actually imported a leaf from palm to make it look closer, like she was part of, like everything in that you can see in the image was actually present. So I included this one. As you can see that the sunlight is coming through this angle. That was why I darkened the the palm leaf that I imported. I added to the picture. So that was why, if you can see, the lighting of this palm on the background is different from the lighting here because it was darkened. Then the next, I wanted to include this bird, but it was going to look a little more artificial, so I skipped it. And also I wanted to include this one, but it wasn't necessary. So the next I did was this light, this circular light behind her. Look at the before and after. Before and after. This light was actually just to make her pop a little from the background, to separate her a little from the background, just like a smoky light, like when light hits a surface and there's this little glare of reflection that forms shape. So that was what I just created with that. And this is my subject layer once more. So the next thing, to make it more realistic, to make it look like she was present in that scenario, was to include grass in front of her this time around. So as you can see over here, the grass is in front of her shoe. So it makes it look more realistic. Okay, there were grasses behind her, and there was also grass in front of her. So I also added this. Look at the before, the after. You can see the little grass falling up, falling on her cloth. Then the next I did was, sorry, I didn't use that. Okay, now the next I did was this grass over here. Look at the before and the after. This grass over here was put here just to make it blend with the scenery, so that it doesn't seem as if she was floating and she was flying in the grass. So now it actually looks more like she was standing on a surface or on grasses. Then the next, I included this smoke effect to make it look more dramatic. I just like drama. Let me just put it that way. That was the only reason why I added that. If not, it wasn't really necessary though. But just for drama's sake, I wanted to include this, but I had a change of mind. Okay, then this was what I used to cover the entry of the smoke. So it was more like she was placed in between different grasses. So it now makes it look more realistic. Like, okay, there was somebody in, like she went into the forest to take this image. So it could make more sense that way. Then after that, we did the coloring. I took the image to Camera Raw so as to blend the lighting of the picture, so that the picture looks more realistic, like making her color and the color that was infused in this image to blend. As you can see, the light on this grass is a little more. If you notice her look, you see that from the image now, it looks as if there was an artificial light or a strobe light that lit her face up and lit this part of her leg. So if there was a light coming down from up, that means it's going to lighten up this grass over here. So that was why I lit up this grass and darkened this one, because a shadow will be covering the light coming from the sun behind her. So most likely whatever will be in front of her will be dark. You understand what I mean? So it's all about understanding your lighting. Then the next thing I did was to fix her skin to make it look more smooth and more nice to look. So this is the before, the fixing of the skin, and the after. Let me zoom in a little so that you have a closer look. So this is the before and after. She was already looking stunning, so I just had to fix a little. After that, I went in further to do my dodge and burn. It shows more on her leg and her face. It makes her to stand out a little. Look at the before and this is the after. How beautiful it is. And one thing I can assure you, the color green. The color green always makes images look stunning, and that's my favorite color. So I will always be partial when it comes to green or using green in images. I love green. So that was actually how this image was created, and I hope you enjoyed my process. And subsequently, I'll be dropping my creative process with you guys. So follow, like, and share. I'll be starting a YouTube channel soon, so you can learn from what I've learned to make your journey shorter. Thank you. Bye.